The Book of Hunting and Slaughtering. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala says in Surah Al-Ma'idah, Ayah 3, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم حرمت عليكم الميتة والدم ولحم الخنزير وما أهل لغير الله به. It means forbidden for you is the mayta. That mayta means something that died by itself. That's what it linguistically means. Its life expired. Religiously, it's something that died without a religiously recognized slaughter or religiously recognized killing. But two types of unslaughtered carcasses are lawful for us: the fish and the locust. And blood, what dam here means the flowing blood. And in another ayah, Surah Al-An'am 145, أو دما مسفوحا, or flowing blood. That's the blood that when you cut the throat, it bursts forth. But two types of blood are lawful for us: the liver and the spleen. What does it mean that the liver and the spleen are blood? What that means is that they are not muscle, they are not fat, rather they are actually blood. However, they are not flowing blood. They are another type of blood. They are a blood that has the consistency of meat. So this blood is permissible to eat. وَلَحْمُ الْخِنْزِيرِ, the flesh of the pig, and its bones, and its fat, and its skin, and all of it. وَمَا أُهِلَّ لِغَيْرِ اللَّهِ بِهِ, and whatever the name of other than Allah was raised over it for slaughter. Like if they said in the name of Jesus or something like that and then slaughtered, then it's not lawful. وَالْمُنْخَنِقَةِ, and the strangled or suffocated. That includes drowning, whether you squeezed its throat or you drowned it, or it drowned by itself. وَالْمَوْقُوذَةِ, and what was battered or walloped. That includes what was hit by the bullet. وَالْمُتَرَدِّيَةِ, and whatever fell to its death, fell off the cliff, for example. وَالنَّطِيحَةِ, and whatever was punctured, like they got into a fight and his horn went into the body of the other one, and then he died. وَمَا أَكَلَ السَّبُعُ, and whatever was eaten by the predators. Like what I saw on, I don't know, it's that BBC or what, I don't know. So they showed these guys in Africa, they all got in a line and they walked right towards the pride of lions eating their kill. The lions were just completely baffled, ran to the side. And these guys with a big blade just cut off, like, what do you call it, a haunch or something? A big thing of meat. And they just walked back with it. And the lions are still like, yo, what's going on here? Hey, so that's haram. Allah told us you cannot eat what is eaten by the predators. إِلَّا مَا ذَكَّيْتُمْ, except whatever you slaughter, meaning you catch it alive and then you slaughter it. The slaughter of whatever can be easily caught is by cutting the upper throat or pit of the throat. Yani you can cut the throat anywhere. If the animal has a long neck, you can cut the upper part or you can cut the lower part of whatever is easily caught, like a sheep or a cow. The perfect slaughter entails 4 matters: cutting the trachea and the esophagus, the air pipe and the food pipe, and the 2 jugular veins. That's perfect slaughter. 2 things make it sufficient: cutting the trachea and the esophagus, the air pipe and the food pipe. The slaughter of a fetus is accomplished through the slaughter of its mother. That came in the hadith. Dhakatul janeen, dhakatu ummih. The slaughter of the fetus is the slaughter of its mother. Unless found alive, yani if it came out still alive, then it must be slaughtered. وَمَا ذُبِحَ عَلَى النُّصُبِ, and you can't eat what was slaughtered upon the altars in pagan sacrifice. The slaughter of whatever cannot be easily caught, like a deer or a bird or a rabbit, is by killing it, by slaughtering it in whatever way one can, or killing it in whatever way one can, in a valid way though. Not in any way like he can't just shoot it with a bullet. That's not valid. Because you can't eat what was killed by blunt force. What was killed by a bullet is like what was clubbed or bludgeoned. Rather, it means like by shooting it with an arrow or sending a trained animal after it. It is permissible to hunt with any trained beast of prey, whether a land predator or a raptorial bird. Land predator is like a dog or a leopard or a cheetah. If you use a dog, that's valid if it's trained, but you need to wash the dog bites 7 times, 1 time mixed with soil. Raptorial bird is like a falcon or a hawk. The conditions of its training are 4. If it is sent, it goes. If it is ordered to stop, it refrains. If it killed game, it does not eat any, and it does that repeatedly. Those are the 4. When you release it, it goes. When you make it stop, it stops. If it kills the game, which is the animal, it does not eat any of it. And some scholars said, except the bird. If the bird pulls out something, it's overlooked, and it does that repeatedly. How would you know your animal is sufficiently trained? It needs to be verified by a professional trainer. If any of those conditions were left unsatisfied, it is not lawful to eat anything that it kills, unless the game was reached while still alive and then slaughtered. Then it will be like any other case of slaughtering an animal. It's not a condition that it's mobile when you slaughter it. It's just a condition that it has a stable life. If you hit a deer with your car and it has a stable life, it's not shaking because it's dying, you can slaughter it and that's valid. Or if your animal caught the game and didn't kill it and it's not dying, you can slaughter it and that's valid. Or anything like that. Like it got stuck in the mud, then you can slaughter it, etc. It is permissible to slaughter with everything that cuts, except the tooth and the nail. If it were valid to slaughter with the tooth or the nail, like to take a lion claw and turn it into a blade, or take an elephant tusk and turn it into a blade, then why wouldn't it be valid to just bite the throat out personally? We have teeth and nails, or just rip the throat out with our fingers. The slaughter of every Muslim and person of the book is lawful. Their slaughter is lawful, even if the one is not sane. Even if that person is crazy, it's still valid. Slaughtering does not require an intention. And the slaughter of the Majusi and the idol worshipper is not permissible, even if they slaughter as we slaughter. Every animal that the Arabs considered good is lawful, unless the religious law came with its prohibition. And every animal that the Arabs considered repulsive is forbidden, except what the religious law came with its permissibility. Why is that? That's according to Imam Ash-Shafi'i, not by consensus. Ash-Shafi'i said so because the first people to be addressed by this ayah were the Arabs, because those were the people of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So who's going to implement this ayah when it comes down? The Arabs. So then, for sure, what the Arabs deem good is lawful, and what the Arabs deem nasty is unlawful. But not all the Arabs. Which ones? those who live under normal conditions, like not people who live in a time of famine or who live in a time of war, not the desert Bedouins who would eat anything that crawls in front of them. The ones who live under normal conditions and have normal taste, or one might say common sense, although that's a disputable term. So, like for example, the Arabs didn't like to eat bugs, insects, roaches, and things like that, and spiders and snakes and mice. So that's haram. And the Arabs, they like to eat, for example, other things. We'll talk about it inshallah. So it's not haram. Other Imams explain these rules in other ways. Imam Malik's madhab about what's halal and what's haram is significantly different. According to Malik, you can eat almost anything if it's slaughtered. So, every animal that the Arabs considered good is lawful, unless the religious law came with its prohibition. So it's not absolute. There might be something that the Arabs liked it, and then the religion said it's haram specifically. And every animal that the Arabs considered nasty is forbidden, but not absolutely. There might be something that the religious law said is good, so then it will be good despite the Arabs. Every predator that has powerful canines by which it attacks is forbidden, like lions and wolves. Wolves are not dogs, and bears. The elephant has powerful canines by which it attacks, so you can't eat that. And excluded from that is the hyena because of a hadith that came about the hyena, that you can eat it. Although it has, as they say, very, very powerful jaws. Every bird that has powerful talons by which it inflicts injury is forbidden, like hawks, eagles, falcons, owls, vultures, kites. Now, when it comes to domesticated animals, you can eat the camel, the cow, the sheep, the goat, the horse. You cannot eat the dog or the pig. It is a domesticated animal, the pig, or the mule or the donkey, nor the cat. What about the wild animals? You can eat the zebra, the deer, the rabbit, the mountain goat. You can eat the fox, according to Ash-Shafi'i. And you can eat the porcupine. How would you slaughter the porcupine? I'll tell you. You put him in water so that he can put his head up. And then when he puts his head up, you grab him and cut his throat. Or else you probably won't be able to slaughter him. And the weasel. And the dub lizard. And you cannot eat the snake or the scorpion or the beetle or the wasp or the fly or the roach or the isopod. You know the isopod is the thing that has a lot of little legs, and if you touch it, he balls up, or anything like that. You can't eat the fahd. Fahd is a big cat that's not a lion or a tiger, like a leopard or a cheetah or puma or cougar. All of those, you call them fahd. The monkey and the ape, qird, as far as I know, it's a monkey or an ape in Arabic. And the alligator, you can't eat that. And the giraffe, they differed about it. Some said you can eat the giraffe, and some said you cannot eat the giraffe. Those who said you can't eat the giraffe, why? They said because really the giraffe is a hybrid from halal and haram animals. Scholars have said different things about the giraffe. Some of them said that the giraffe is the result of 3 animals. One comes on a different type, and then the baby comes, and then this one comes on something, and then the giraffe comes. Some of them said the giraffe comes from when the animals gather at the slop hole or the mud, and then they go into heat, and then there happens an animal orgy in the mud, and then A female would have this many of different types of things, and then from there, a giraffe is created. Some said, no, none of that is true. The giraffe is just a type by itself. So there's a difference in opinion about whether the giraffe is halal or not. Interesting that there's another thing that's like a giraffe. You know about it? It's called okapi. Also, it looks like a mix of things, like as if it's a mix of a zebra and a deer or something like that. And then he got long neck and horns on his head. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Allah knows best. And look that one up though if you don't know about it, the okapi. Also the jackal, they differed. Can you eat the jackal or not? According to Ash-Shafi'i, some of those animals, their teeth are weak. That's why you can eat them, like the fox. And you can eat among the birds, the ostrich, and the chicken, and the duck, and the goose, and the pigeon, and the grouse, and the stork, and the bustard, not buzzard, bustard, B-U-S-T-A-R-D, al-hubara, and you can eat the usfur. The usfur are the small birds, like sparrows and hummingbirds. And it's also not permissible to eat what eats corpses, the scavengers, like the crow. Now, there's different types of crows. So he says, كَالْغُرَابِ الْأَبْقَعِ. I don't know if that's a spotted crow. I might be mistaken about the translation. I don't know what it might actually be called in the scientific terms or zoological. And al-ghurab al-aswad al-kabir, al-ghurab al-aswad al-kabir, the big black crow, these you cannot eat them. The Sheikh said, as for the crow of the crops, like the crow that eats in the cornfields, and the raven, al-ghudaf, he said it's something with a small body and it has a grayish color. They differed about whether these can be eaten or not. And if there happens to be some type of animal in the non-Arab lands, and the Arabs, yani the old ones, not the ones of today, they didn't know of it, then it's referred back to what it resembles. And then it would be deemed lawful or unlawful. Sheikh was asked about the kangaroo. He said the Arabs would have accepted to eat that. And also, it's disliked to eat the animal that eats garbage until you feed it well and let its meat recover. And then it won't be disliked anymore. And you can't eat what lives on land and at sea, the frogs and the crabs. But there are some crabs that don't come out of the water. What we learned is that those you can eat them. That's like the king crab and the Dungeness crab. Not the small crabs, the ones that they leave in the basket on the avenue and they're all crawling around. It is lawful for he who is starving to death to eat from the forbidden carcass the amount that preserves his life, not to get full off of it. According to this saying, he doesn't get full, he only eats as much as he can survive with. But according to a saying, he can eat until he's not hungry anymore. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Allah knows best. Let's stop there. You have any question that I can answer for?